Yo, what's good, Enos? Let everybody get up in this motherfucker. So I'm chilling, man. I'm a little frustrated, like everybody else. I've been meaning to call you and catch up, but like I don't do well with like trying to get my energy back right after these types of situations, dealing with, what I'm saying, Floyd out there. Nah, I ain't gonna burn nothing down. You know what I'm saying? No, I want to. I think all of us want to burn something down. I want to talk about that. Like, we need to have a real situation, a conversation about that. There's a lot of misplaced energy. Oh, hey, Trevor. Hey, the Nikon, it's here. It's over here. But I've been using it for photography. Let me see who out here. Some dude named Balky? Look, why my dog all of a sudden want to go outside now? Hold up. You just want to go outside because I'm about to talk. Hang on. Guess I'll come outside too. Nah, man, y'all just want to go bark at the park. All right, so check this out. I've been seeing a lot of people on the fence about how to act on their aggression, violence. I've been seeing people talk about black on black crime. Black people talking about black on black crime. And off top, y'all can go ahead and shut the fuck up about that. Let's see here. And I want to talk about riot. And the riot part is this. That city deserves to be burned to the ground. Until people are arrested, charges filed, all of that. You know what I'm saying? We played the patient game, done all of that, man. You know what I'm saying? And ain't nothing else left. Like, people can say, well, they're burning stuff in their own neighborhood. Man, black people don't own AutoZone or Target. O'Reilly's, none of them places. They all got insurance. Let me go ahead and say that off top. Burn them down, straight up, until there's an adequate response. I mean, like I don't know nobody that worked at Target and said, I don't have a place to work now. You know what I'm saying? Between that, COVID, and everything else, nobody's, coming to save us. I keep saying that, I've said it multiple times. And, it's like, what else you want? So the police get to act, the negligent police get to act without any type of repercussion, no accountability, and nothing gets done. And I feel like Minnesota should still be on fire from Philando Castile. You know what I'm saying? Like, that wasn't even an adequate response. Burn that bitch down. You know what I'm saying? You need to be on fire right now. So I don't care how people feel about that. I'm an advocate for civil disobedience at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no legal compliance. If another human being did that, like if I did that to another human being, I'd be in jail, already charged with murder. You know what I'm saying? But they won't charge their own people with the adequate, charges and file them so they'll stay on there to keep that person from working again, And the place isn't on fire behind one thing, okay? It's on fire behind a multitude of the same things. There's been a pattern of no accountability, none. You know what I'm saying? So what else y'all want? And then meanwhile, like to divert from that for a second. And meanwhile, we got black people talking about black on black crime right now. Shut the fuck up. You sound stupid. You sound dumb as fuck when you say that. And you're trying to justify, like, why would you bring that up? How about the next time somebody dies and you say RIP and you make a post, I'm going to go in the comments and ask you to follow me on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Why don't I talk about the last barbecue I went to? Why don't I talk about who got the best pizza in your same comments? Because that's how related that type of response is when you bring up black on black crime and you black. You're an idiot. You know what I'm saying? I don't say that. No, the statement is idiotic because you could change you could change with new information if you're willing to. But to default to such a simple assessment is so stupid. That is the all lives matter of amongst black people. You know what I'm saying? And normally this should be a private conversation, but no, you deserve to be publicly shamed. You are no different than somebody bringing up the 5G conspiracy theory when he's talking about the coronavirus. You're an idiot. You are perpetuating an oppressive stereotype and arming your oppressor. You know what I'm saying? So you can't talk about one, like, because this is what you're doing. You're bringing up the symptom and making it the topic instead of talking about the disease. You can't, you know what I'm saying? Like when you bring up black on black crime, you can't talk about that without talking about poverty, gentrification, redlining, laws that legislated black people out of being able to vote. There's a whole string of things, you know what I'm saying, for you to just package that into a repeated narrative that was handed to you by your oppressor. You know, it's stupid. So it's the same way that y'all defend COVID being stupid and saying, oh, it's not real because the person had underlying issues. Well, black on black crime is the COVID to the underlying issue. The underlying issue is all of the fucking racism and years of oppression. You don't understand how ignorant you sound when you do that. You know what I'm saying? And you're feeding a generation of people that are younger than you that don't have the research skills, okay? And not because they don't have them, because they don't care about cultivating them. So when they see your 40-year-old ass repeating dumb shit like that, you make that the ceiling of that understanding. So they want to be just like your stupid ass. That's why it's irresponsible. Irresponsible as fuck. And for you folks, for you black people that don't live in the South, never lived in the South, that thinks racism in the South is a little bit different. I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but them black and white photos from the days where the Edmund Pettus Bridge March, Birmingham getting blown the fuck up and terrorizing black people, y'all doing that right now in color, in HD, in 1080p, in 4K. So you guys have gone back 40, 50 years and brought it today. You know, in the past couple of years, I've seen more black people get the police called on them in the Northeast and out West for doing normal shit, okay? I'm not saying that these things haven't happened in the South in the past, but the fact that the South is the crux of some people's points when they bring up, you know, well, it's the racist South. Look, you're not exempt. We watched Minnesota be the hotbed for a response with Philando Castile and now Floyd. We've watched Eric Garner be the catalyst for what took place in New York with no response, not an adequate response at least. We've seen Mike Brown, you know what I'm saying, with Ferguson. We've seen, I mean, like what we had, Stephon Clark in 2018. We had Tamir Rice in Ohio. It is a cultural issue. It's not a regional issue, okay? It's not Look, we had West Baltimore in 2015 behind Freddie Gray. You know what I'm saying? So for you black people that don't live in the South, that have, I guess, some sort of assessment about racism, you know what I'm saying, being more, like deadly outside of the regions that you live in, you sound ignorant too. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that you're ignorant. It's that what you're saying is ignorant. It's half-cocked. And it does nothing to help us. It adds no value. And again, that's one of those things where, like it's almost like an all lives matter thing. You're trying to isolate it. And what you're doing when you say that is that what you're really doing is minimizing what happened. Now we focused on, you know what I'm saying, who got the most racism? Who want to compare STDs? You know what I'm saying? Find something stupid to compare. You know, racism isn't about what you say. It's about the structure in which you're trying to thrive in. Okay. It has the elements of police state. It has underfunded schools, shitty property taxes, and over policing. That is the element. You know what I'm saying? It's not about the Confederate flag flying. It's not about your zip code. It is not. It is about the lack of access to being, to having equity in a community. Equality is not the same thing as equity. Okay. All of us are equals in terms of we have access to the same internet, the ability to pay bills, go work somewhere. If it's within your skill set, we can all compete. Okay. But equity is different. So in equity, everybody has their portion. You know what I'm saying? We have a chance to compete equally. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yes, Dedrick. Yeah, the zip code is part of it, but that's where redlining comes into play. That's why I brought that up. That's what I'm saying. You cannot say you can look at the zip code, but you got to look at the elements that came up about the zip code. It's systemic. Okay, there has to be a logic where people look at a map and say, you know what, I'm gonna box these people in over here. You know what I'm saying? And that is throughout the United States. It's not just like where you live. It's how the place you live is managed. You know what I'm saying? How do people that's in the ability or in the capacity to change taxes and everything? That's where racism comes from. That's where it's maintained. You know what I'm saying? So like people have to take a second and look and stop canning what racism is. Okay, you have to explain this to people, because if we can't understand the metrics that comprise racism and have a logical discussion amongst Black people about our equity in it and how we contribute to it by oversimplifying certain, ways of that, certain things that demonize us, we'll end up repeating the process for the oppressor. So, survival and killing. I see that in the Black community. I mean, that's a canned statement too, though. You know what I'm saying? Why are we having to survive? You know what I'm saying? And why are people having to kill? It's because of poverty. But where does poverty come from? Well, they took all the jobs from the area. Oh, okay. And now the same places that you used to shop at, they don't generate tax revenue in the city anymore, and they go somewhere else. So like now, like for instance, like in Birmingham, the same places I used to shop at when I was a kid are in Trustville now. So now we go to Trustville to go shop at the same stores, and the tax revenue stays in Trustville. Okay. Birmingham does not get nothing out of that at all. That's how it works. When you take away places where people spend money first and then raise the taxes after you take the shopping opportunities away, you take the tax revenue from the city, and then you end up having people that don't have jobs, places to work that they can travel to at distance, and you have a lot of unemployment. Period. That's right. Yeah, every community has gentrification, and you're gonna get killed based on the law of proximity, and it just makes sense. Hell, even drugs are found in proximity. If I went into a trailer park, you think, what's the chances of me finding meth and crank there? Pretty fucking high. You know what I'm saying? So if you go into, a distinguished white community, deemed as a white community, you're probably going to find a lot more cocaine there. Pure, So like every demographic has something that's very specific to it, and for some reason we have the ability to we can look at nice cars and know we're on a nice side of town, and we can get an idea who lives there. We can look at nice houses and get the same idea. Okay. But for some reason, when we look at crime, we can't say, damn, there might be a white people type of crime. You know what I'm saying? If somebody shot everybody in the house, if somebody did a murder-suicide, right, the chances of it being a white person is pretty fucking high. I'm not saying that other people don't do that, but we're just saying that that's their thing most times. When we say mass shooting, that's a white people thing. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about, school shootings, that's a white people thing. We got isolated crime events that are very sporadic in certain pockets, and it just also happens to be where poverty is persistent. And it's also a lot of complicit lawmakers in these same areas. So all of this is a nut roll. That's why you just can't say it's black on black crime. It's the stupidest shit ever. It really is, especially at present day. So we have, like for instance, a heroin problem is in Ohio. I mean, I've not seen. I'm not saying that black people don't do heroin, but when they talk about heroin, they ain't talking about us. They talking about white people. Now, that's where we got like the opiate crisis, because that's a crisis now. You know what I'm saying? There was never a crack crisis because it was black people, period. We have to start unpacking these canned, repeated phrases that we grew up with and that we are now repeating, you know what I'm saying, amongst children that we're raising, if they're not already grown anyway. You know what I'm saying? You don't understand how dangerous these packed phrases are. Like, we can't control our narrative by repeating same things that we've been, you know what I'm saying, impoverished by over the last 30-some years. We are experiencing a level, it's not just physical violence. We are in the midst of intellectual violence against each other because we kill the thoughts of us doing well with stupid canned phrases that you're repeating, you know? So language is important. Words are important. How you use them. You know, we get offended at complete sentences now, and people think that you're in your feelings about something. So now when we get ready to talk and write about it, you know, it's like, oh, now you're just being wordy. Oh, you just sound smarter than everybody else. Oh, you think you know everything. No, you have to write it as if you might get killed tomorrow. You have to write it as though these are the last words that's going to be spoken for you. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I take it anyway. But that's just the way I move, and I'm venting right now, like, because I think we all need to vent, and we all been fucked up for so long, man. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know how to deal with it anymore, other than writing about it, venting about it. I don't argue with white people no more. That ain't look. And black people, we ain't got white friends. We need white allies. Okay, so your white friend that only comments on the memes, fuck him and her. You know what I'm saying? The ones that's talking about we need to come together, no, you need to go kill your fucking Klansmen first. Don't talk to me about what we need to do. Talk about what the fuck you need to go do. Y'all make us responsible for inner city crime, man. Every black person in America got to answer to fucking Chicago. And never been there. But white people don't never have to take account for their fucking mass shooters or their opiate problems. You know what I'm saying? So you can kiss my whole asshole. Go take responsibility of that goddamn trailer park where they grooming the next terrorist. You know what I'm saying? Where the FBI been watching y'all bitch asses and stuff. And then you out here voting for that motherfucker, that red hat. You know what I'm saying? You part of the problem too. Unless you done got out and tried to do something about it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has the burden of being better than us with the least amount of resources. Nobody. You can't convince me. So it's like it's like, man, yo, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? I've had to write books because, like, here's the thing. Something can happen to me tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? I got into it with the police back in November. You know what I'm saying? I won't divulge that because it's an ongoing investigation. But if something had happened to me at that time and I didn't have the dialogue that I've had with a lot of you, what I've written, you know, and what I've posted and maintained the consistency of it, somebody could have framed my life in a different light. You know what I'm saying? Because they would confuse the passion of what I have to say, you know what I'm saying, against the content. They would leverage that against me to discredit me. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's why when you repeat other people's narratives, you don't have your own narrative anymore. So, and to the white people that's watching this, man, look, really, this y'all responsibility at this point. Black people, we just got to find a way to get the same people on the same sheet of music, the right people on the same sheet of music. Can't do anything about folks that don't want to do what it takes to push the culture forward. A lot of people don't have a dream, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about the Martin Luther King sense. So what I'm talking about is when you have a dream, you do shit that's conducive to making the dream come to be. Meaning that, like, if you say you want to be, I don't know, the greatest songwriter ever, you know what I'm saying? And that's your dream, you got to do shit that's conducive to that. You can't go say that and then come back and get caught up on a drug trafficking charge or some shit where you beating women or molesting kids or something like that. Because the reality is this: if you really had a dream, you wouldn't even do shit that would jeopardize the dream. You know what I'm saying? So So I get that there's a lot of black people that misrepresent some of the reasonable black people that's trying to make shit happen, okay? I get that. But you got to be honest with yourself about what it is that you really want out of life with what the work that you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Because just like I mentioned about having a dream, white people conveniently will go leverage the Martin Luther King speech, you know what I'm saying, about peaceful protest, this, that, and the other. But they've also protested against our protests. And Martin Luther King was the greatest protester of our time. You know what I'm saying? And his words still speak to us. He still travels from the past, you know what I'm saying, just based on his works in life to let us know that civil disobedience is necessary at times, okay? But in the midst of all of that, you can't balance repeating negative narratives that countermine what we're trying to accomplish as a culture, okay? We've only been in the game legal for 60 years where America had to find a spot for us. And the spot they had to find for us is not to our advantage. You know what I'm saying? So you just can't wait until the trigger pulls to have equity in the culture. You have to do the work here in conversations, the way you write, how you communicate, who you communicate in front of, the arguments that you got to have, you know what I'm saying, in private, because they are valid. We can't have those in public no more. The beefs that you have, what are they rooted in? Like, how do we benefit from some of the beefs that we have? You know what I'm saying? That's how you unpack the negative narrative about black on black crime. You know what I'm saying? We have to stop the intellectual violence before it comes to a trigger pull. So we can have that conversation and the components that's within it without using a prepackaged narrative. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how many of y'all own custom cars, right? Or anything that you buy stock. It's probably not going to stay stock for long, right? Because you got to configure it to you, right? When you take somebody else's narrative and regurgitate it as if it's facts and as if it's truth and as if it's bars, you know what I'm saying? What you're doing is you're trying to take something that's stock footage and try to pass it off as though you came up with it. How about you customize your own narrative? That way it looks like the other person is trying to change your narrative. You know what I'm saying? We have been working hard to try to do so. We've been legislated against, and we've been criticized by older individuals within our culture, and we've been criticized by younger individuals. And sometimes, you know what I'm saying, have tiffs in the middle too. But has there never been a time where we need to find a way to just make it make sense just for the moment, okay? Like, we could debate about voting and if it's effective or not. Yeah, that's cool. I get that too. I understand that that's a never-ending struggle. Black people are not monolithic. We're not going to all be on the same sheet of music. I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? But I think that in this situation, we got to find, even if you don't agree with it, I think for the culture, if you care about the culture and you look like the culture, you need to stop appropriating the culture by using white narratives. You the first culture vulture we got to deal with. If you out here repeating black on black crime, if you out here got more smoke for your own folks than these goddamn Klansmen that kill us every day, you know what I'm saying, that triggers you to a social media frenzy or whatever. If you got more smoke for them, more smoke for your own brother or sister, you know what I'm saying, I got a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? If you protecting the idiots in your family that terrorize your own community, I got a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? And we got so much more opportunity than what we realize because we're more invested in preserving negative narratives that never belonged to us to begin with. So I don't know what else to add to it, man. I just needed to get that off my chest. I've been ranting the past couple of days, but it's coming from the right place. And I feel like I'm not alone. I feel like sometimes you got to put a voice with the context, you know what I'm saying, of things. And, you know, I still feel like Minnesota deserves to be burned to the ground, you know what I'm saying? And I don't give a fuck who don't like it. Shit, I mean, I just don't know what else to do at this point, man. So I think the place should have still been burning since Philando Castile. You know, I still stand by that. I still think that every place where we've had to watch black people die on camera for regurgitated narratives that are not going to get dealt with. You know what I'm saying? I think they should all be on fire. South Carolina should still be on fire behind Dylan Roof. It should be on fire the same way our ancestors were burned out of their fucking, you know what I'm saying, affluent communities, from Wilmington to, you know what I'm saying, to Oklahoma at Black Wall Street. You name one. East St. Louis, you know, name one. We need to return fire. And they need flames all day. You know what I'm saying? I'm sick of murals of us. Tired of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, being a martyr is one thing because you died for something. But dying for no reason, I'm not okay with that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what else that man had to offer. None of us did. But, like, he didn't deserve to go out like that. You know, like, if your life end behind an accident or something like that, I can accept that. You know what I'm saying? As difficult as it can be, it's just part of living, you know? We take certain chances, and you could die in any type of way. But at no point should you wake up in the morning and look at your watch or your phone or the calendar and be like, yep, I gotta go to the store. I just hope I don't get choked out by police. You know? Yeah, pick one. Like, everybody got a reference to something in here. You know what I'm saying? So I'll end this in saying this right here. The pseudo-patriots that's watching is probably going to catch this video. Don't offer anything that of assistance that you think is assistance, intellectually speaking, about what black people should be doing if you ain't spoke about shit until now. Okay? Number one. Go out your Klansmen. You know what I'm saying? Go handle that first. Just like we got to clean our house and deal with whatever our issues are, you need to go handle yours. I've said before that nothing in America will ever change politically, socially, and financially until white people get offended. Offended enough to do something about it. And not shamed into it, but offended, because offense comes from a sincere place. When you shamed into doing something, you just mad that you got caught, you know? So, and that's what happened to where we are right now with as black people, in terms of Jim Crow being abolished in the South or whatever, because white people were shamed into it. You know, we had to have public moments where black people were getting bit by dogs, hosed, and it had to make international news for white people to do something about it, okay? We've gotten as far as we can get with the resources that we had, and we had to claw and scratch for those, okay? For those few things that we had. We get blamed for voter turnout, but we the only ones that get gerrymandered out of, you know, voting zones. We get redlined. We've had every type of administrative way to box us out of the situation of participating in America. America don't give a fuck about participating with black people. It cares about leveraging black people, okay? Same way it's always been, whether it be the prison population, the numbers, and all that does is feed these negative narratives that white people try to throw back at us. You know what I'm saying? They say 16% of the population commits 52% of the crime, but they don't want to unpack the fact that black people, by poverty standards, cannot afford adequate legal defense, so it's cheaper for them to cop a plea sometimes. So the conviction rates reflect differently. You know what I'm saying? So yes, you're going to have some ammo, but yet again, that's the thing that they don't unpack. You know what I'm saying? So it's cheaper for black people to go to jail than it is to fight for freedom. You know what I'm saying? Being collectively poor is expensive, okay? That's what it is, okay? Now, I'm telling you that because the next time you see a conversation where somebody's just running off numbers with no context, now you got a little bit of context to go with it. And I hope it makes you go read into it a little bit deeper, you know? Yep, hey James, that's exactly why we're police more. See, when you start getting convictions, and we're going to talk about zip codes and red line and all that stuff, right? When you start getting convictions out of a certain area, then the police are going to say, well, that justifies our presence a lot more because we keep getting convictions. But they won't look at the fact that the people that got convicted couldn't afford adequate defense. And that's why we still watching people get freed after 30, 40 years of being wrongfully convicted, you know what I'm saying, with adequate evidence, you know, that exonerated them from the crime to begin with. So now that same evidence that wasn't enough to keep them out of jail is all of a sudden enough now. It sounds to me that, you know what I'm saying, like you just didn't have enough adequate legal help. And I use James Davis, JD. What's up, bro? I use the word research sparingly too, because a lot of people don't even know how to research. If you out here reposting articles without checking dates from World News Daily Report and saying shit like, oh, I just thought it was worth reposting, I ain't even look at it. That's not an adequate response. It's not. I thought it was a good idea. You check the dates on the food in your fridge. Why you don't check the dates on the information that you sharing with other people? You poisoning folks, man. You the virus. Why you can't take a second and just look at it? You check that weak ass mustard on the door. Them weak ass duck sauce packets you keep from the Chinese food. But you can't look at the date. I don't know how many times Aretha Franklin has died in my timeline. I can't. Sherman Glover and died so many times. Because you can't check the date. And all of that is part of the reason why it's so easy for people to just come up with the same canned statements. So, I know I said I was going to end this a minute ago, and I am. But I just wanted to talk to y'all, man. Because it's been a rough week. You know, I mean, we can't even... I've never thought I'd get to the point where, like, when somebody tells me another black man died, or a black person in general, because I still haven't even talked about the lady in Louisville that was killed, working at 2 different hospitals, you know? And it's just too much, man. You know what I'm saying? And white people don't even have these problems. They don't. Because they got a choice of which culture they want to embrace. You know what I'm saying? So they could choose to be Irish American. They could choose to be Italian, Sicilian, whatever you want to call it or whatever. But black people just stuck with just being black. And even though, I mean, just by popular canned description. But it's not fair. You know what I'm saying? And we do ourselves a disservice by trying to repeat these negative narratives that don't equate to diversity at all. It doesn't give us our just due. So I'm going to end this, man. Y'all leave it in the comments. I'll come back and I'll check with y'all later. I'm pretty sure that I won't be able to go live for another month after this because Facebook keep trying to take me out. So with that being said, I'm going to holler at y'all. Breonna Taylor.